Welcome everyone to the show today. I'm excited to bring you a new format, a treat, something that we've done before, but now we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to take a step back in time. We're going to take a few of you who listen to the show, who've been to some live events, and do what I did on the 300th episode. We talked about the growth that I've had and the people who are part of the Empowerment Strategist Group have had. And I also want to ask other people who've come to my events the growth that they've had, and not just because of the event, but because, again, if we're not paying attention to our growth, like if we're not noticing it, if you're not rampaging about it, if you're not focusing on the things in your life that are improving, then oftentimes it can feel like, well, geez, like when are things going to shift for me? When is my life going to change? Has my life changed? Am I different? When I do a live event, I always ask the people in the room who've been listening to the show for a while, I ask everyone to raise their hands. How many of you have seen or experienced my growth? Have you watched me grow? And normally there's about 100% of people in the room who raise their hand because we're all constantly growing, or at least having an opportunity to grow. And I want you to reflect during today's episode, not only on the similarities that you might have with the guests that I'm bringing on today, but in your own life and where you've had shifts, maybe shifts you haven't even recognized. So I invite you to take a step back, think about over the years, whether it be because of the work we've done here on my show, maybe you've been to an event, or the work you're doing on your own. How have you seen shifts happen in your life? And I'm going to also direct this a little bit towards manifestation and how we're realizing the things that we want in our lives. So first I'm going to bring on, I'm going to tell you who everybody is, and we're doing it in this order. I think we're going to go Shannon, Veronica, Ashley, and Rhonda. And we're going to start with Shannon, and I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about where they're from, what they do, and how they got here, and how they got to me. So Shannon.
Hi, yes, my name is Shannon Leclerc. I reside in Providence, Rhode Island, and currently I am a nanny to 2 little girls. And I have learned about JJ from, I want to say 2012, when I really started running. I was looking for podcasts and things that would jive my inner, because running for me is like a dance. And I also needed something in my ears to really move my mind and move my spirit. And from there, it went on to at least 3 years of listening to JJ quite daily when she had her daily podcast. And I was really moved by her. She spoke to me. I didn't have anyone in my life that connected to me the way that I felt connected to her without knowing her. And it's been a blessing and an awakening for me.
Thanks, Shannon. And welcome to the show, and welcome to this conversation we're going to have today in this group of awesome people. I love that you think it's 2012. When you said 2012, I thought, did she buy a book that I wrote? It's probably 2014, because actually That's when Fit to Love, that's when I did my first podcast, was September of 2014. So you're probably one of the early adopters of Fit to Love. So thank you for being one of the OGs.
Thank you. Yes, it was, because I remember running a race that year. It was 2014. You're spot on.
Thanks. Well, that's exciting, because you've been literally with me since the beginning.
Yes, you've grown. Right before our eyes. You are a prime example of growth and expansion.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that it impacts your life, and I can't wait to hear more about how and the ways that you're going to share with us. So thank you so much for sharing. We're going to move on to Veronica now.
Hello, everyone. I am Veronica Turner. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. Wife and mother of over 23 years. And I'm an herbalist. I've been listening to JJ since about 2017, 2018. Started working with her, doing one-on-ones, and then went to the Manifestation Bootcamp, and then joined the mastermind. And here I am.
And here you are, and soon to be a fellow podcaster at some point after she moves and gets settled. All right. And Ashley, welcome.
Hello, JJ. Yes, I am Ashley McCaghren, and I started listening to JJ in 2017. And oh my goodness, it has been such a great ride, because she has changed my life in so many ways. But 2017 and her manifestation boot camp of 2019 came up, and I reached out to her just telling her how much I really wanted to go, and I was able to go. And like I said, it's been life-changing. So I am happy to be here. I'm from Hartselle, Alabama, by the way.
Yeah, that was my next question. Shannon did say Rhode Island. Not sure if Veronica said she was in Texas, but she is moving to Colorado. Ashley's in Alabama. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Now we're going to move to Rhonda. Rhonda's never been on the show before.
No, I'm excited to be here. My name is Rhonda. I live in the high desert of California. I was fortunate enough to be JJ's neighbor, become her friend, and her kitty sitter. So my first live event with JJ was the Manifestation Bootcamp. And boy, am I glad I went. Instrumental in changing my life. So very exciting. Very excited to be here today.
Thank you, Rhonda. I'm excited to hear what you want to share about why you came, what has changed, how you've grown. So I asked the ladies, I gave them a few questions ahead of time to kind of think about to pose the question, because, I know I can only say so much. You guys, some of you discount me. You're like, yeah, of course you're going to say that. Of course you're going to say that. So you stop listening, which is why I need someone else to share and want to share their point of view and perspective. And maybe you can relate to them a little bit more. So we're going to actually focus on all of these ladies met in person at my last Manifestation Bootcamp in 2019. And I had done a bunch of events. Shannon had come to my very first event, which was Releasing What Weighs You Down in 2018 in January. Shannon, you were so cute. I love thinking about going back and looking. Shannon, do you remember when you stood up and you cried? You turned around to all of the people in the room and said, guys, it'll never be like this again. We will never all be in the same room like this. And you were just tearing and you were just full of emotion. And I am so happy I got all of it on camera.
Yeah, no, you know what? And I'm really genuine, but you bringing me back to that moment is bringing me to tears because it's true. And I remember just exactly all the feelings leading up to it. And when you give yourself a yes, when you say yes to anything that feels right for you, I promise you, you will be rewarded in so many ways. And yes, I absolutely remember that because I was so overwhelmed. And there was a lot that we created and that we created all together. And it's like when you leave schools or high school and you graduate and you know that what was created there, you can have that if you're in person again, but it was like just an anointing. It was incredible. I absolutely remember that. And I also remember booking my flight too soon before it ended. And I just needed to give myself more time too. It was a lot of emotions. Absolutely. Yep. I absolutely remember that.
One day I'll go back and edit some of those pieces out of Shannon highlights, because they were so cute. You were like a beam of energy all over the place in terms of your excitement, your enthusiasm, as you were again in 2019, but now that you had already been to an event, you were a little more, I would say, grounded. And because you'd already been, there was a different expectation. So Shannon came to my first event in 2018, Releasing What Weighs You Down. And that was the first time I stepped out into the world and said, hey, here's what I'm doing now. I'm going to tackle this whole body thing, this mind, body, soul piece. I'm going to do emotion. I'm going to do coaching. I'm going to do, all kinds of emotional work with you. And back then I put a lot of other speakers there, because I'll be honest, I don't know if I've said this on a show. I mean, Shannon and Veronica and Ashley, you probably will be able to tell me if I've said this on a show before, but I was kind of hiding. I wasn't confident to do the whole event by myself. I had Lisa, I had Jeannie, I had Michael, I had Allison. I made sure I wasn't confident that I could do it by myself, that not that I couldn't do it, but that people would get a transformation. I thought, how can I tell people to come to an event that they're going to get a transformation? I can't guarantee, I don't know that I can guarantee I can do it. I don't know that I'm enough. So I was like, I need to have these other people who can help me. And I love that I had them, but it took 4 or 5 events for me to say, and I think, I don't know if you had said it, Shannon, but I know at the next big step, Savannah had said it, like, we want more of you. And I changed it because we went from Releasing Weighs You Down to the next big step. And I changed how things went, because when we were at Releasing Weighs You Down, I took out the pieces that I wanted to share when we were running out of time and you were running out of energy. And I saw everybody be really taxed. And I thought, okay, I can't do all these exercises with you. I wanted to totally like over deliver. And I think, Shannon, you were also the one that said, we could be here for the whole week. And I was like, yes, we can. I have enough work that we could be doing all this processing for an entire week. So that's why I continue to do 2 events a year. So fast forward, I've done the Relationship Weighs You Down 2018, next big step 2018. And I stepped out a little further, and I still had 4 other people who were presenting with me, heard loud and clear from some of my fans, hey, we want more of you. Okay. Then Relationship Weighs You Down 2019. Now we're only down to 3 people, Jeannie, Lisa, and me. And Michael came to support, but he didn't necessarily do any presenting, or maybe he did. But okay, so maybe it was 4 people, but not as much. And then I thought, when we were in Cancun, Doug and I on a vacation, I thought, well, I felt confident at this point. What can I do? What can I lead? What do I feel confident enough to lead by myself? And I was like, oh, well, I'm teaching law of attraction. I could do a manifestation boot camp. So I actually got the idea in 2018 for the boot camp when we were in Cancun or Costa Rica or wherever the hell we went, Cabo, I forget where we went, in Mexico. And then I decided in January, okay, I'm going to sell this boot camp. And so 2019, now Lisa wasn't necessarily supposed to be involved in the boot camp because she kind of misunderstood. I love that she was there, but literally, like, I was planning on doing it by myself and running the whole thing. So it was the first time doing that format. And it was the first time that I still allowed myself to step out even more. It was now even more. I was ready. And so it was just Lisa and I. So now down to 2 people. And anyway, so the growth has, so I'm explaining this to you guys because I want you to hear that I didn't come out of this. I didn't start a podcast and think I'm going to rule the world. I'm so confident. I know so much. I can help everybody. I know what I can do. No, I had to find my way also. And I had to try things, and feel uncomfortable, and try things and feel insecure and feel concerned about criticism. And is it going to work? And are they going to get anything out of it? And can I really promise transformation or change? And you can't really ever promise it. You can promise that you can show up and deliver. It's if someone else takes it and what they do with it. So these ladies have absolutely taken what they got and have run with it, which is one of the reasons why they're here. And I hope that those of you that haven't come to a past live event, I hope that you're also realizing some of the shifts possibly and changes that you've gotten from coming. So I want to hear, Shannon, the difference. And the next question is, why did you choose to attend the boot camp? So why did you, well, let me interject for a second. You came, and hopefully because you were the one at 2018 at Releasing Weighs You Down said, we need to do this more. And I was like, okay. And I already had the next big step ready to go. And then you didn't cover the next big step. So I was like, I quickly made another event because you're like, we all need to be together more often. Yes. I was like, and I agreed. So I kind of feel like you were waiting to cut, like you were eventually going to come back to something, but tell me and tell us why you came to the boot camp.
Yes. Well, I did go to Releasing What Weighs You Down because I had built such a trust with you within my body, within my mind, within my heart from the years of listening to you. And I had to. And also, it was such a high to get that solid yes to taking action. I remember my palms being sweaty. I remember where I was working, where I was sitting. I booked the flight. I booked everything in a work day. And I remember there's so much adrenaline to actually make that happen. And you were enough. I believed in you, and I believe in you because you walk the walk and you talk the talk. And your growth and expansion is real. And you've shown up to us with such authenticity from the get-go. You've revealed yourself time and time again in all of your transformation. And I was so confident in you. And also to go from the East Coast to the West and never having been in California, it was just all the yeses had to happen. But with a theme with me that used to be is resisting what felt right for me because of the little sneaking fears that come in. And I understand what that's like when there's an investment in your finances and in your time, but we never lose when we invest in ourselves. We never do. So I was on such a high from that. And then the fears would come in again, where is this right for me? Or I'll question things for the other events, but I will never, ever forget or I walked this earth changed because of both events. And then when Manifestation Bootcamp came, I was in it. I was in a new relationship. All these themes were coming up for me because a relationship brings us a mirror to ourselves of our strengths and what needs help, what needs support. And the community that was created there in 2018, to think of seeing the same folks, to think of creating those relationships again and to be strengthened, it was a yes. And the relationship I was in at the time, he completely supported. He knew how important you were to me. He would hear about you in the shows. And it was important for me to strengthen my inner tools no matter what. What I've learned is that we never lose from gaining within ourselves. And there's no one more important than us, because we better serve everyone else when we are strong within ourselves. And I knew I needed more tools. I needed more community. I needed to solidify a community around me that I didn't feel that I had created here in Rhode Island and that I wanted. And I'm such an in-person person. I show up and I like to be present with everyone and feel their energy. And I needed that. I was hungry for it. And there was no question. There was no question.
Shannon, one of my close friends and clients who came to Releasing Weighs You Down, literally after the first day, like looked at me and said about you, like, is she for real? Because you are so oozing with, like, you are so, like, your energy is so big and warm and bright and connecting. And she's like, is she for real? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, she really is. Like, this is really her and who she really is. So thank you for that. And, you know, I appreciate everything that you said so deeply. You just reminded me of, I had a massage yesterday with a massage therapist that I'm now, and he's a body worker. He's so much more. He's a therapist. Actually, Doug's going to see him. I'm so excited. Doug's going to go to therapy. But he does body work and I trust him, and I've known him for 21 years, although I never had a session with him. Anyway, so yesterday I said to him, because he was booked, and Ashley tried to get me in to see him. And literally whoever you talk to, whether it be him or, and by the way, everyone, Ashley is my assistant. So she had reached out to him, and whether it be him or his assistant kept saying, oh, no, he's totally booked and he doesn't take any more massage clients or bodywork clients. And so I was telling him that yesterday when I was working with him. He's like, no. I said, oh yeah, no, you guys said no, that you were not taking any more. And he said, oh, well, I love working on you. I feel like working on you is like serving the world because you serve so many people. And I was like, well, thank you. I go, wow, thank you. That was like such a nice compliment to get yesterday. I said, I did force my way in here, but I really just was like just one time, because I met you 21 years ago. I thought, can I just have one session? Like, just give me one and then I'll go to somebody else. But then I've been with him ever since. So I appreciate that, Shannon. And I'm glad that you felt your full body yes both times and that you were very clear. Now, Veronica, you and I were working together at the time when you decided to, like, one-on-one, and you decided to come to the boot camp. And I know that there are people out there who I really like strong-armed. You were not one of them, but I may have. Did I push? I mean, I didn't push you like I pushed some other people, but did I push you?
No, you did not strong arm me. I felt, I kind of waffle because, as you know, I'm a Libra, and I always have to, like, should I go? Should I not go? Yes, no. Okay. So that's usually me. And so when it came up, I was like, should I go? I've never really done anything for myself, you know? And I was like, I don't know, this is by myself, like without my kids, without my husband, just me. And then I kind of put it into perspective as to why I needed to go, which was to get away and do something for myself, which I wouldn't normally have done back then, you know, and so that was really important for me, and I realized it at the time. And so I said yes, booked my ticket and went.
So your real reason was literally just to do something for yourself, by yourself,
Right.
that you had never done before.
Right. In the back then, you know, we were really close to 20 years. It was, yeah, I had never done in the 20 years, I had never done anything for myself without my husband or my kids in tow. So it was, yeah, to do it for myself.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that my event was the thing you did. So
Yeah.
yay for me.
Yeah. And now I
Awesome.
do all kinds of things by myself.
It unlocked the floodgates of Veronica doing things for herself. I love it. Thank you. And I'm sure that there are many people who are listening who can relate to that. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Ashley, why did you decide to come?
When you first started bringing it up on the podcast, I definitely got that gut feeling. Like, it was definitely a physical feeling I was having, like, I have to go to this, like, I need to go. And of course, I was talking myself out of it. My son at the time was only 6 months old. So I had a lot of guilt, like, I don't need to be spending this money on myself. I don't need to leave my 6-month-old son alone with his father. Like, just a lot of mom guilt and woman guilt that we put on ourselves. And I reached out to JJ, and she was just so kind and encouraging, and just made it work out for me that I was able to go. But it was definitely a gut feeling that I just knew I had to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to pause and say, for anyone who doesn't already know this, who hasn't been listening for a while, I'm flexible. If you don't make this about money, because I think I may not do this event again, because so many things are happening and shifting and changing, and I'm adding things and expanding. And while it's fun and I love it, I don't know that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do it again. So don't think it's going to be that every year, oh, I'll just do it next year. Oh, I'll just do it. It may not be here next year. And I'm telling you right now, there's an 80% chance it won't be here next year. Now, there are a few factors that might change that, but I don't have time to do more than one open live event. So with that said, if you're having that gut feeling and you're also concerned about the financial part, and what's currently on the website, those payment plans don't work for you, reach out to me. I mean, there are a bunch of people that did different payment plans. Don't make it about the money. I'm not saying it's going to be less. In fact, it probably be, but I can work out a different payment plan. And Ashley, did we work out a different payment plan?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So just reach out and say, I want to come, and let's work it out. And don't stop your life because you have a scarcity issue or a money issue or a flow issue, and I think there's even some practice in asking for help, right? Even the fact that reaching out to say, I really, really, really want to come. Do you think I'm going to say no? I mean, unless you tell me I have no money, can I come on a scholarship? I can't say yes to that because I need to pay for the event. It's at a nice hotel. I've got all the equipment. I'm Ashley. There's things I have to pay for, but I'm telling you, I will help you any way that I can to support you coming. I helped Shauna. Like, there's several people who had a payment plan coming in, and so I think bravo to you for even asking for that. Now, I know that I also put it out to the podcast, but I don't know if you asked me before I said that or after I said that, but it's still on the table, everybody, for you, because if I never do this again, you'll not get to experience the boot camp. So I wouldn't want you to miss out. So let's work something. So
exactly. Yeah. I want to say you did mention it, but I just had that feeling that I needed to go, and it's very hard for me to open up and ask. And I did it, and it was so worth it.
It's also, it was really hard for you to even speak like you're speaking right now.
Yes, exactly. And I figured I would bring that up in our later questions.
Okay.
The kind of breakdown I had.
Okay. Shannon.
And I don't know if you want to edit this out, but I do want to say that I was so moved because I remember specifically, Ashley, how you shared with us how challenging throughout the course of your life or in that present moment then, that it was hard to be in a group setting and to speak up. And I remember the pride that I felt in my heart for you because we weren't sitting far from each other. And I remember that specifically. And when I was reflecting on the events, remembered exactly how proud I was for you showing up and to feel that way and to leave your baby and your worthiness needing to be of your importance. So I absolutely remember that so clearly. And that was a highlight in my mind of the worthiness of, there was a few of us in that group of feeling worthy enough to attend. And no matter what anyone said in our life, we had to show up for ourselves. And that's what we have to do. But I remember that specifically from you, how brave you were to be there and how it felt for you when you shared.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm sure Ashley appreciates you reflecting that back to her too. Rhonda, tell people why you decided to come to the boot camp.
I needed to have time for myself, and it was something that I really needed to do. And I would say to any person, woman out there, that even if your life is in chaos, it's probably the perfect time to go. The perfect time to go. So, and there you have it, just a little inkling of what occurred from that boot camp when Shannon's jumping in and validating. And I remember Ashley too, struggling to speak at that event, struggling. So there you have it, Shannon's validating, appreciating the growth that's happened to Ashley since the boot camp. So I needed to be there. I struggled to be there at the boot camp. And JJ was encouraging. I had not attended any of her events. And it was the best thing I did. Absolutely. In the middle of utter chaos in my life. It was the best thing I did.
I don't want you to tell too much of the story. Can we just go bullet points of your chaos? Because I think when people think chaos, they think, oh, she was moving or maybe she was going through.
No. I tend not to talk because it makes me teary-eyed, but I have a daughter that's seriously ill. So I stepped away and benefited her and my family by going. That's the kind of chaos. A lot of people, it's like, a lot of people think chaos is a broken toilet, right? No, it's caring for someone who you're keeping alive. That's what chaos is to me.
Yeah.
And these women were amazing during the boot camp. So amazing. And the growth since then. And I can relate to Veronica. I can relate to Ashley. I've been a mom for 42 years. And a single mom part of that. And so I devoted and sacrificed my life for my marriage and my children. So it was the best thing, instrumental in kicking off a different way of thinking, instrumental. And it has benefited my daughter and our family. Because I got to tell you, if you feel better, if you feel it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. And when you're consumed with what's happening, right? Being a mom or whatever, but when you're neglecting yourself, you're really neglecting your family. I got to tell you, you really are. You're not giving them the best of you. I realize that. I continue to grow. I was fortunate enough to see JJ and Doug last weekend and had an awesome time. And so if you think about giving to yourself and then sharing with your family, and I realized just recently, even with all the growth, my family hasn't had the benefit of the best of me because I was so focused on taking care of everybody else's needs, wants and needs. So now I feel each and every day that they're getting more and more of the best of me. So JJ, instrumental in kicking that off.
Beautiful. Well, did you answer the second question? Is that, I kind of feel like we've just rolled right into that.
Yes. Time for me. So the reason why, when you brought it up, number one, I got to be quite honest. When JJ mentioned Manifestation Bootcamp, my first thought, what the heck is manifestation? And then, I got to break everything up, right? Manifestation and then boot camp. So are we going to be doing physical? That was my first thought. First train of thought is manifestation. So what are we going to be working out? Are we going to be working out physically? That's okay too. But I got to say, boot camp now means to me, your manifestation boot camp is the working out of our internal muscles, right? Who we are, what we want, where we're going to go. What footprint are we going to leave, right? What is my purpose? What am I going to leave? What footprint? So who can I be the best me? How can I be the best me? So we'll talk about that and other questions about the tools and things like that.
So your biggest takeaway was basically that so the third question was the biggest takeaway, and that for you was time for yourself and the need to focus internally to process differently, maybe see things differently, to be different and grow and be better for your daughter and your family.
Correct. And so the other thing was, I got to say, the sense of community. If we're on question number 3, the sense of community, phenomenal, as witnessed during this podcast, the sense of community, the sense of support, and then the tools. We'll talk about the tools later, but I've got great tools that I use to this day and that I share.
Awesome.
So share, pivot. Let's just say the word pivot.
Yeah, we talked about that last week when you were here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I shared it again the other day, and I had a doctor say, I got to tell you, I use that with my patients. I'm like, oh my God, ripple effect. Wait till I tell JJ. I'll mention it in the podcast, right? So
nice.
Anyway.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, good. Well, okay. So that's question number 3 was what's the biggest takeaway or experience while there? So now we'll go back down to Shannon and then Ashley, then Veronica. So Shannon, what was your biggest takeaway or experience from the boot camp?
The biggest takeaways for me were knowing that there are other people in this world who are like-minded and have a zest for life and for change and growth as well, and how important it is to be consistent with those people in our life, whether that's through text, whether that's in person, whether that's on the phone. You will move the needle when your environment is supporting you. But I also learned tools to help me when I'm not around that. And everything that I need is inside of me, and to not adjust to my environment. I mean, that is huge for me. And also, I absolutely remember you setting us up for success before we went home. And there was an example of that as soon as I landed in Boston. And it was eye-opening to me that I always have to rally for myself and cheer for myself and trust my inner compass for what's right for me. And I share this with others when the topics come up. We do not need approval, even from those that we love, for what's right for us, because they can love us, but they also have their own triggers and journey and healing to do. And when I was faced with that example, I spoke about it with my mother when I got home, and I sobbed to her because I was hurt. But I pulled from JJ and how you shared with us that, you don't always have to speak about things that events that we attend and all of that, because not everyone will be ready for everything that we bring back to them. And that's okay, because the biggest changes is when we can come back to the same environment, that things might not be any change, but we will be, and we'll see situations differently, and we'll know when we're not triggered, when we're responding differently. And that's what I brought back. And I was faced with that as soon as I landed. And I said, okay. And I noticed the pattern that I was in of defending myself for going. And then I sobbed, I cried, I let it out, but then I reeled myself in, and I used the tools of, we have to be our biggest cheerleader and our own advocate. And it's okay. And we can love each other. We can love everyone around us from that deep place, but it doesn't mean that they're going to show up for us in a way that we always need, but we have to show up for ourselves. And for those that are cheering for us, and the communities the community that we created there, that is the ultimate gift. When there's even one, we do ripple into the world. We do. So that stayed with me and always will. So many examples of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. And what a great gift to get the chance to test out that new tool the minute you land. So I'm glad you were ready. You were ready for it. And I appreciate that. So I think I said Ashley first. So let's go Ashley, then Veronica.
Okay. So we heard Shannon and Rhonda bring up my little breakdown that happened. I have always struggled with finding my voice, speaking in front of other people, just have a lot of anxiety, especially social. And I find myself here in this group of amazing women, JJ, who is like my hero. And I'm like, oh, I'm at her event. I have to take advantage of this. And I found myself not being able to speak up and stay after hours to hang out with everybody because I'd had too much anxiety. So on the second day, we were, going around talking about stuff. I can't remember exactly, but I just raised my hand and I was like, guys, I have to tell you something. I have trouble finding my voice. And I need y'all to know that because I'm struggling here, but I want to get the most out of this. So if y'all can be patient with me, I can do this. And everyone just stopped and hugged me and said, we are listening. And it was so powerful. And it's just something that's really, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it was emotional. It was so amazing to know that was being heard around these people who I wanted to hear me. And that was definitely my biggest takeaway in the experience I was not expecting. So I'm very grateful for that.
Did you feel that you have been different since then? Do you feel that broke you open a little bit in a way?
1,000,000%.
Good.
1,000,000%. Yes.
Awesome. I remember that. I remember because you and I had a session before the boot camp, and I remember we kind of dealt with some of that a little bit. But look at you now. Look at you now.
I know. I'm talking on a podcast.
I know you're talking on a podcast. It's amazing. Congratulations. Again, this is one of the reasons why we're doing this, because I want to make sure that when we're in this self-help space of like making ourselves better, that we constantly come back and go, why, how have I grown? Because if we don't stop and acknowledge it, then you may miss it and you may not value it and you may forget. And this is an opportunity to, for everyone who's listening, not only for everybody who's here, but for the ones who are listening, hey, how have you grown? What's changed in your life? Please stop and acknowledge that, because it's evidence of your growth, and stop waiting for like the big manifestations to come to prove something to you. You won't get the big ones until you start noticing the little ones. So this is an important exercise that everyone really should be doing. So thank you, Ashley, for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Veronica.
Okay, so the biggest takeaway that I've gotten was realizing that I am the architect of my life. Outside circumstances don't matter. It's really what I set my mind to putting into my life and seeing that I can manifest that. Because although I had already created really the life I wanted, I had a great marriage, great kids, had the, perfect one boy, one girl, didn't need anything else. I still wasn't happy with myself. And for some reason, I didn't have the confidence. I also struggled to find my own voice. I have internal dialogue all day long, but when it comes to actually speaking it, it was like, oh, they don't want to hear you. Why are you trying to say something? But I realized that even if they're not listening, I'm going to say it. Somebody is listening. I know somebody's listening. But really, that was the biggest takeaway, is being the architect of my life and like creating how I wanted my life to go forward. And I'm creating it.
Yes, you are. And I just want to make note, in case anyone heard Veronica's first episode. Now I cut out all the spaces in between, but she is grown in the confidence and talking area so much, because I could see, and I know what goes on, because girl, I've seen you drinking. So I know when you have a few drinks in you, like the Veronica comes out. I'm like, can we have her? Can we do this? Can we have her without the drinks?
Yeah.
Can we bring her to the party without needing the drinks? Because you're awesome and fun, and we love you, and more people need to hear from you. You're so powerful.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. I love you. Okay.
Love you
Now
too.
we've kind of already all answered number 3. So we're going to go to number 4, and now we're going to go to Rhonda. So Rhonda, number 4, how did it change and shift your life then and now, the tools from the boot camp?
The boot camp was instrumental in my pursuit of self-discovery and fulfillment. So I had worked a corporate job for like 35 years or whatever, but I spent a lot of my life pursuing, living and taking care of my family, my children, blah, blah. So the boot camp came in one of the most critical points in my life, and it shifted me. And so, in amongst all of that, it was instrumental in kicking off a different way of thinking, a different way of being. And what was cool about it is that you have this feeling. I've seen myself as being pretty confident. I had a great career and all that, and pretty confident. But I had clipped my wings. I'm going to say that. I clipped my wings. And I was doing the things in life. Now, during the most chaotic times, that's what you do, right? You got to focus on what's in front of you and what's happening and all that. But I had also clipped my wings because what I thought I should be as a wife and as a mother, right? I had a perception, that amazing sense of community, women. And I got to say, when Ashley and Veronica were talking about being heard, I got to tell you, I felt safe there. I'm a very private person. I just am. And I don't talk about a lot of stuff personally, unless you're a close friend or whatever. And then I kind of spill over, but I felt safe there. And I think you're hearing a common theme here, that we were like-minded women. Sorry, Doug. Like-minded women. And we felt safe. Just think of how safe Ashley had to feel to speak her truth, right? It's like you have to feel comfortable to speak your truth. So these women in that room heard a lot more details than what you're going to hear today about what was going on in my life and stuff. And I felt safe to share my story and to start working on what it was I needed or wanted. And I got to tell you, when you're so busy focused on raising the family, keeping the marriage together, I think that a lot of women clip their own wings, right? Because we're so focused that we forget who we are. And so that boot camp was instrumental in not only, the self-discovery and fulfillment, but I still work on it daily. And I still keep the packet on my desk. It's sitting right here. It's a reminder. And I open it up and I look and I'm like, I got to tell you, 9 out of the 10 things I've incorporated since the boot camp that we wrote down, the 10 goals. 9 out, and the 10th one was like out of my control. I did my part, so I could say 10 out of 10. But and the other thing is, Shannon, you're talking about the yes. That's something I've been doing. I did it when I visited JJ and Doug. It's like a yes. You want to do this? Yes. You want to go on a hike? Yes. You want to try kombucha? Whatever? Yes. And I was like, I don't even know what it is. A flight?
Kombucha.
Yeah.
Apparently, kombucha.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was. I didn't, but I heard the word flight and I had an entirely different impression. But yes, I was going to do it. And I'm glad I did. But it has set up something within me. So what are we to?
I don't want to get that we created. I'll never forget how of what we did in that circle.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't know if we would. Can we mention that, JJ?
We can, but Shannon's got to go. So I want to go to Shannon.
Okay.
And then the three of us can talk about it. Okay. So Shannon, for time purposes, go ahead and take the next couple of questions and just give everybody how it shifted your life, which we kind of did here a little bit in the tools when you got off the plane. So if you felt like that one was answered, but like what lessons did you like? And again, you don't have to just like the highlights. What lessons did you get? Or sometimes it's like, what did you see that others got that you didn't anticipate?
Yes.
Like when you were coming, and then why would you recommend someone would go? And so go for it.
I didn't anticipate the theme of not feeling worthy of pleasing yourself as a priority. And when I heard that, I was so moved, and I wasn't something of my life, but I feel that I have to live according to my own rules. Doesn't make it always easy to say yes. But I didn't anticipate maybe some pushback that some others felt to place themselves as a priority. But that's really important, because when we're around different situations, it makes us stop and really see that we're not what we have as a flow in our life. Not everyone has, and it just made me step up to these women even more, feel even safer, feel even more proud of them for the way that they were showing up. So I didn't anticipate a theme of not feeling worthy, or for anyone to have pushback from anyone in their life to show up. I remember having that conversation. Putting themselves as a priority is serving the world, because that's something that's just been solidified even more as I go on in years, is that when we show up for ourselves, we really, honest to goodness, even every text message I send from after the gym or giving myself what I need is feeling more grounded. I truly feel more grounded in myself and come from a higher place when I meet my own needs. And for me, the resistance was to actually solidify going and to go from the East to the West Coast. But it's not anything that I'll ever regret. It's not anything that, you are incredible with the payment plans, absolutely. But there was resistance there too. And there might be a resistance to grow. And that's something else that I remember feeling, and I'm feeling into it when I really reflect back. There might be inside of us some resistance to grow, because if we did, what will change for us? And that's still something I'm working on now, but I feel so much more grounded and so much more at ease about it. If we grow, what will change? What will change? Let's see what will change. If I move, how will my relationships change? But what's on the other side of that? So there's, for you, my trust was already placed in you. And you walk the walk and you talk the talk. And so every event is intentional. You adjusted it to our needs. I remember that exactly. you tailored it to what the energy was in the room. Oh my gosh, I feel like it was just last weekend. I remember you saying that. And there was so much more you could have got into, but you really tailor it to the feeling in the room, to all of us there. And when we push the button on the yes, we never come back the same. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And from there, it led me to make a travel fund so that I can, and I'll put a little bit away every week because it's important to me. Decide what's a priority to you and make it happen. Decide and make it happen. Make a plan for that, little by little. Say yes and make it happen. And what will come on the other side of that growth is you're worthy of. We are all worthy of.
I love that. And actually somebody wanted to come on the whale trip, which by the way, got moved because of, I forget why. Oh, I think it was moving. Right. So the whale trip got moved. But what I had recommended to somebody who wanted to go was to do like a GoFundMe or to do a, one of those sort of crowdfunding. I had someone crowdfund their way to India for a retreat. And because she couldn't pay for the whole thing by herself, she asked friends and family in lieu of either a birthday or a Christmas or whatever, or just, if anybody would be willing to or was interested. And she sent it to all of her friends and family and they funded her trip. And I recommended that for the whale trip. And I'll recommend that for this too. It's, if you want something you really want and people are always trying to gift to you and you're not receiving it, and maybe they give you gifts you don't want or gifts you don't like, you can say, you know what, instead of spending the money on these things, this is something I really, really want. Would you be willing to contribute to this in place of the Christmas gift, the birthday gift, the whatever gift? So I do love that, Shannon, that gift fund. I think it's great.
It's such a great idea. And I do want to go back briefly to what Rhonda said about that safety. I've identified in my body when I really feel my vulnerability levels with some, and I show up authentically, I feel with most in my life, but there are different levels and layers that I feel better going to with certain people. And you will identify that and you'll come to see that when you have that feeling inside of you of just complete open gate with anyone, with a community, with one person, with two people, I mean, those are people to really treasure to show up for. Truly, that safety feeling was absolutely felt. And there is a difference when you feel that you come alive in a different way. We all need it. We all need it. So I'm glad that you mentioned that and used that word, Rhonda, because that was absolutely felt. And we had never met. We were all showing up. We all showed up for each other because we all had that common wanting of trusting JJ and being there and what we were creating there. And it was magic. It was magic. It was an experience. It was an experience of its own.
Well, and we'll talk about this when we get to Rhonda, I'm sure. My growth is that I also am stepping into allowing myself to say or lead people in ways that I've never done before. I know that I created the strengthening intuition course because over doing all these events and being with Lisa, as well as working with other people, I've seen my intuition strengthen. I know that there's more in me that I haven't expressed or put out. And I remember when I was reading Mind to Matter by Dawson Church, and I had come up upon a page about distant healing. And then I already had it in my mind that I was possibly going to do it, but then I was embarrassed and nervous and feeling vulnerable because I had Lisa there. Lisa's the healer, right? JJ's not the healer. I didn't see myself in that way, even though I know it's in me. I know it's in me differently. And when Rhonda spoke about something with her daughter, I was like, all right, we're doing this. And that took a lot of courage for me to, in front of Lisa, with Lisa in the room, like decide that I'm going to lead a healing circle. And I was like, okay, here we go. JJ's leading a healing circle. And it was, anyway, we'll talk about that as we go on. But I'm growing during my events as well as you people are growing, right? Because I am keep stepping out and doing something and challenging myself to express and be and allow what's already inside of me to be seen even though I have judgment about it too from sometimes. Being a trainer for so long, I got stuck in the box of trainer. So here I am with doctors, nutritionists and therapists and healers, and I'm the trainer. So stay in your lane. And I've been told that for like a long time. I'm like, yeah, but I do more than that. And now I'm not. And now I have the opportunity to say, I get to choose to call myself whatever the hell I want to and say and do whatever I feel like. And I'm gonna, and not everyone's going to love it or it's not going to work for everybody. And that's okay. But I can't base it on what you think. I have to base it on what's inside of me. So just in case anyone's wondering, that's happens. I mean, everyone who's been to an event will see it happen. It happens with me as much as it happens with you. It's a journey we take together.
But thank you for that, because I heard this before. When you light your light it gives others permission to do the same. And I didn't think I needed that permission, but similar to you, I don't label myself. I've worked in corporate, nonprofit, I'm nannying now. You are the example to us though. And by you breaking down any barriers that you have, you really release that within others. And for some, that might be a trigger because some might not have grown up with models of that around them. So to see someone being so free and authentic with themselves and so far into their journey as you are, for some that might throw them off kilter because they've never had that. But for others, it is just liberating for the rest of us. And that's what you represent and have to me. You do that. You don't put yourself in one box, and you always were enough, and you are. And now it's just the exciting journey of seeing what else you can create.
Oh, a lot more is coming. But Shannon,
Woo!
I didn't grow up with that either. Which is why I've looked for, it's why, and not, you guys aren't going to see this because we're on video, and I'm not going to be airing this video as we're all like waking up out of bed, and I may not even have a bra on. I'm just kidding. Behind me, there's a wall with my logo, my like Mind, Body, Soul logo on it. And it's because like when I started the mastermind, that was scary. Releasing What Weighs You Down the first time was scary because it was saying, I don't see what I want in the world. I don't have representation of a strong woman who is balanced emotionally as well as so masculine, feminine balance, balance in life, balance in money. All I see is like women who are working and they want to make a lot of money and their focus is money and their money compensates for their insecurity. Or I see people who are attached and love, they have to look a certain way and all they care about is how they look because they care about how people respond to how they look. Right. So it's either one or the other, but it's never all of it. I wasn't seeing anyone who represented to me, someone who represented all of it, who was doing all of it, cared about all of it, doing it well, successfully, in balance. And when not doing it successfully, because we're not perfect people. Like we're not Wonder Women. We are, but we're not, right? Like life happens, contrast happens, but it's just even the vulnerability of talking about that and going through that. So I wasn't seeing it in a way that I was, so I became it. I keep going, well, I want to do this. Who's doing that? Who am I attracted to? Well, nobody, because I'm seeing people who are on stage who are very different when they're in person or very different when they're outside of the microphone. And the theme that keeps coming to me, that has always come to me, even as a trainer doing video, is people have said to me, you're the same in person as you are on the podcast, as you are on the video, as you are on the stage. Now I'm amplified a little bit more in front of 1,000 people, and having more fun, and it's really free. There's a lot of energy. But I'm the same. And my ex didn't even like that. Like he thought that there had to be like a persona, like he was too personal. I was too personal. I was too vulnerable. I was too like open book and it was too scary. And I'm like, yeah, but that's real. And that's what I look for. And that's what I aspire to. So thank you, Shannon, for sharing that. And just in case, for time's sake, for Shannon, do you have anything else you want to share? That way you can stay as long as you can for today's recording. But in terms of if anyone's on the fence, I mean, I think you've done a really good job of really relating like all the things that why you came and the resistance you had to the money, to the travel, to the taking the time. Is there anything left that you would tell somebody who is thinking about, like who has a yes or a partial yes, but is really struggling with pulling the trigger and coming?
Just asking ourselves where that fear is coming from. And it's actually, if it's our voice or the voice of an outside source that's not even ours. Something I did take away and has been tremendously helpful to me, especially in the last year, I would say, is being an observer. So when certain things come up for me, when it's a fear, when it's anger, when it's jealousy, 90% of the time, not perfection, but I will use that as a signal. And I say, what need is not being met here? Okay, I'm feeling this way. I need more quality time with this person. Okay, fear. Okay, what is that? What's coming up for me? And to really step back and ask yourself whose voice it is. And to know that what you put into yourself will never be lost. It will never be lost. And to trust, that's huge. To trust that everything will come back to you. Because when we come back to our place in the world, from where we just came from your event, we are changed and we attract higher. When we are higher, we attract higher. And that includes the money to bring it back. But ask yourself, whose voice is that? Is it fear? Is it yours? Or is it what you think others are thinking? And make an action plan for yourself in this life. We we are the architect of our life. Well said, Veronica. We are that. We're the directors of our life. So who's going to show up for you if you don't? And just trust that it will ripple to everyone. Everyone will feel that difference, that shift. They will. On the highest level, those small little shifts are not to be ever taken for granted or to be swept aside. The smallest tweaks that we make show up. You're possibly more friendly even at the gas station, in all ways of your life. You are worthy, and there's always going to be a solution to everything within you. You got to strengthen those tools of that trust within yourself and know that you will attract higher when you are better in your life. And even if you're great, there's always more avenues to go. And goodness, this year is going to be it's beautiful space in California. It's absolutely beautiful space where you're going to be closer to the beach. You're going to be outside. There's no telling what can be created when you say yes to yourself.
Thanks, Shannon. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to move to Veronica this time. So Veronica, I think we're on question 4, a combo mush of 4, 5, and 6, but just take it away.
Okay, so things that have changed in my life. I feel like a lot's changed. So I am now a business owner from 2 years ago, right? Yeah. So I'm a business owner now. I'm about to be an empty nester and moving to Colorado out of Texas. Never have lived anywhere but Texas my entire life. So that's a big change. Speaking out more, like letting my voice be heard, being authentic to myself. And I see the shift in my family. Like my husband has said, from the first live event I went to this last one, which was in May. Is it May or March?
You mean the mastermind? It was March. Yeah.
Yes. He said he's definitely seen a change from the first one to this last one. Even about how I act, how I am, how I show up to different places. I've been to places where people will walk up to me and just, oh my God, I don't know what it was, but I just needed to talk to you. I don't know who you are, just strangers. And I'm like, okay. So now I have all these new friends that I honestly don't know their names, but these strangers come up to me and become my friends.
I think they're your
so yeah,
fans. I think they're really your fans.
I just, it's a difference in the way I show up in my own life. And I think it's great.
It's great. It's just, we're not, I think my ex-husband used to get nervous and think, you always want to change. I said, no, I don't always want to change. I always want to grow. There's a difference. I'm not changing who I am. I'm allowing myself more and more to express what's really inside of me, because it's really about, like, if we were all like free children, we would, be who we are. It's what happens in life and through parenting and messages from media and your whoever, teachers and friends, and that we close down. It's just it's a series of us closing and protecting and compensating and being afraid and feeling unsafe. It's really about feeling unsafe. And so, again, I joke about when I think it was November margarita time for that mastermind last year, when Veronica was like, I wanted to video record her the entire time, because I was like, oh, this is Veronica. I know it's alcohol induced, but it just means all her inhibitions are gone. And I don't want you to have to drink to get there, and you don't have to, but it's like, oh, there she is. Oh my gosh, there she is in there. And she's a nonstop talker. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The woman is on fire. And so I'm like, so this is you just emerging, and it's beautiful to watch. You're blossoming like a flower, and I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. And I do want to say that the big manifestation, that I had this year was my house. Like, we heard the podcast with you talking about how you manifested your house, and I took all the notes I could on that, and when I was like, I'm moving to Colorado, I need to be there now, but these are the things I want in a house. And, some of the tools that we had were visualization and, not necessarily having the vision board, which I always felt ambivalent over the vision board. Like, it works, it doesn't work. So what I did was I wrote down everything I wanted in a house on a note card. And I put it right there in front of me every day. I saw it every day. I looked at it every day. And when the house came up, I told my realtor, we got on an airplane, went, looked at the house, and made an offer right then and there.
I know. I'm so excited for you.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now we close next Friday. So
Woohoo! Yay!
yeah.
Yes, I love that. And I'm so, the house is beautiful, by the way. Veronica
Thank
sent
you.
me the link and pictures and it's amazing. And it's so different than your current house. It just has a
Yeah.
second floor. It's really super bright with lots of windows. And you're just going to have a whole, like, oh my gosh, you're just going to have so much more room to expand.
Yes. So excited.
I'm so excited for you too. And I can't wait to see you. I hope that it still gets the work out that you're coming to the boot camp. If anyone who is listening to this is coming, Veronica is going to also have a table. She's going to be sharing a table with Miss Crystal. So she's going to have her products there. So we'll come back around at the end, and Veronica, and we'll talk a little bit about your products and the things that you're going to be bringing to the boot camp. So
Perfect.
awesome. Thank you. All right, Ashley. So do a mishmash of the last questions. I'll just read them to everybody so that you know what they are. It was, how did it change or shift your life then and now? What lessons did you get or saw in others that you didn't anticipate? What might you recommend that someone go and who's skeptical or afraid? And then how is life now? And there you go.
Okay, so the biggest shift at the boot camp, I walked in there wanting to do something about my career. I had a 6-month-old son. I had a full-time job that took me away from my home for 45 plus hours a week. And I was like, this needs to change. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And that was my main focus at the boot camp. And learning the tools and be able to take them home within a year. I was able to walk away from my job of 16 years. I started my business, and my very first client was JJ. So that was amazing. It was a dream come true. Talking about vision boards, I have JJ on my vision board. So manifested that one.
You also took action to get it. You started out as an intern. You said, when I put out on the show, you offered. So you reached out and took action, and you offered to work as an intern. And then that was like a really quick, like, okay, I'm just going to hire you to do all this other stuff. So, oh my God, you can do this and you can do this.
Yes. And I know the career change, but also the voice thing. Like, I found my voice and I was like, you know what, this is what I want. I'm going to do it. So I took the action. So that's another huge shift for me that I've taken away. Let's see what lessons. It's been really amazing to see the growth of the other people, being in the inner circle and still having that community of seeing the people that went to the boot camp and then other people who have joined, just hearing their stories of how they've grown, like Veronica has grown and Shauna has grown so much. Like, it's beautiful that we get to see each other grow and do positive things, and we get to share it with each other. So I absolutely love that. What would I recommend to someone who's skeptical? Reach out to JJ. I know how terrifying that can be to put yourself out there, but do it. If you have that feeling that you need to be there, please reach out to JJ and work something out. I am telling you, it is 1,000,000% worth it. Invest in yourself. Reach out to JJ, please. Yes, that's it.
Thank you, Ashley. Yes.
You're welcome.
Okay, Rhonda.
So lessons from the boot camp was the rampage of appreciation. Oh, and before we go on to that, JJ, I gotta say that I have witnessed your growth phenomenally. I was JJ's neighbor, 11 years or something, but also after we did the rampage of appreciation, you and I look at you now, and like when I pulled up and saw you, and it's like this may sound strange to everybody that's listening. She's coming into her own. I don't know how to describe that, but I think JJ, you probably get it. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just like the more, I just see you coming into your own, and the more empowerment and things like that. So lessons was the rampage of appreciation. And Veronica, I got to go back to you, because we were sitting together for the first rampage of appreciation. If I remember correctly, she could barely speak. honestly, it's like Rampage of Appreciation is like 3 minutes where you just talk continuously about what you appreciate about the other person or what's going on, or I'm kind of paraphrasing or whatever. But I remember Veronica could barely speak, right? Or Veronica, we were sitting there and she's like, okay, so what are we going to do? And how do we, and and we were both just looking at each other, and I'm sure I said, knowing me, I probably said something, let's just do it. And I would say to anybody that is on the fence about going, I would say, just do it. And then the next thing is if you're still like resistant, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? What do you think is going to happen? You're going to meet like-minded people. You're going to be empowered, right? So what is it you're scared of? And you're going to participate in whatever level you feel comfortable participating in, right? Nobody's going to say you have to do this or blah, blah, blah. It's like you're in your space, but I can guarantee you that you're going to mold in with these like-minded people, because you wouldn't be there if they're not like-minded, right? You're there. You're all there for a reason. There's a reason why this, and I got to tell you, the growth in this group since then, several of us have moved, right? Several of us have moved, new environments, much better environments in some respects. But if you don't change something, nothing's going to change. You'll be doing the same thing tomorrow, next year, year after. So take the initiative and just do it.
Thank you, Rhonda, for the acknowledgement. Yes. And I'm in a transition right now. Which is why I haven't written a book yet, which is why I haven't, there's so many like things that I'm in a transition, which is why I'm like really questioning. And I got Doug and I did that hike that we took you on, the Shelf Road hike, which he's doing right now. This week. And I really got that hit about the boot camp because, I say it and people think it's like just a salesy thing. Like I'm threatening you that I'm not going to do it so that you buy a ticket. It's like, okay, no, I mean, look, if you're not interested, don't come. It's really about, I want to speak to those who do want to, who feel the yearning, who feel the need, who feel inside of them that there's more than that they're allowing out. And that's who I'm talking to right now. And I have to be honest and be upfront because I don't want to do it as a salesy thing. And I'm like, with what's going on with the empowerment strategist, what's going on with Dr. Nasha, what's going on with, there's just with me wanting to do sacred feminine work. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do the boot camp next year because I think we're moving on to the next thing. I think this is going to cap it off. It's going to be a really awesome live event that is going to be supercharged. And then I don't know what's going to be happening exactly next year, but I don't think it's going to be this. So I think that we're sort of at the end of an era, if you will. But again, I'll still be doing live events. I just don't know what it will be necessarily. So I appreciate you recognizing and, even just today's Zoom call that we're doing right now to record this and you guys kind of feeding off each other. It's really been extremely meaningful. It's brought me right back to, I know it has been for you guys, to sort of where you were. And yeah, I did the Rampage of Appreciation exercise. I remember I put that as one of the first things to do on Saturday morning. And thinking, oh, I'm only gonna leave a half an hour for this because it's gonna be super easy. And then Ashley, Veronica, like people couldn't do D. People couldn't find 3 minutes of something to say. I was like, oh my God, everybody's struggling with this. They need help here. This is not, it was easy for me because I've been doing it for 10 years every day. And all of a sudden I didn't realize the blocks of just even acknowledging verbally. And I thought, okay, all right, let's get to work. We made that an hour and then we did it again and again. I think we practiced it every day because I saw the need for it. So anyway, so I'm going to just have this all organically sort of wrap up, if you will. I know we didn't really get to, and I don't know if you want to mention anything else about what happened at the last event. Of course, the next event will not be like the last event. It'll be different because of the people and won't be better or worse. It'll just be different. So Ashley and Veronica are coming back. Ashley, of course, will be working it. So for anyone who's listening to this, you need a payment plan. You need to get the hotel reservation settled. You need to find a roommate to be with. Ashley's the person that you reach out to. So let's go through just anything else anybody wants to say, but I'm going to start with Veronica first because Veronica has started a business and she's going to be there showcasing her business. You've heard about her business before on the show, Nature Sorcery, but go ahead, Veronica, and don'tgetahangover.com. Tell us about your businesses.
Yes. So I make herbal products. I have teas, tinctures. I do have an elderberry syrup DIY kit that's, elderberry syrup is a little tricky because you might have to refrigerate it if it's made with certain products. and mine is made with honey, which would have to be refrigerated. So I've made it easier by making the DIY kit. You can make it anytime you want and just add the honey when you're ready. So those are products that I'll have there. I did want to say that JJ's title of empowerment strategist is so true to the word, because I feel like she's empowered all of us to move forward in our lives, especially those of us who felt kind of stuck, didn't know where to go. I definitely feel empowered, and I just can't wait to see what she has next.
You just made me think of your blooper reel from the first mastermind. Oh my God, it's hilarious. One day it's funnier for those of us that were there, of course, and I don't share it publicly, but so the blooper reel from last year's mastermind in June to the blooper reel from this year's mastermind in February with Veronica, she just was like, I have a course. Like, her only blooper was that she was so much more she was more comfortable in front of the camera. She knew what she wanted to say. And in June last year, there were a lot of dead takes of like, huh! Like she just like freeze.
Wouldn't come out.
She just freeze. Like the words wouldn't come out. And so I kept taking pieces of her freezing, like, oh, it's hilarious. Anyway, I'll share with you guys because you would enjoy it. I'll put it in the inner circle. Actually, I think I did put it in the inner circle, but I'll share with you guys. It's hilarious. Yeah. So thank you, Veronica. I appreciate that. Okay. So why don't you share about your business?
Yes, it's naturesorcery.com or don'tgetahangover.com, because I do have a hangover product. And you can also follow me on Instagram at natures.sorcery.
Awesome. Thanks, Veronica. Please. And I will put the link in the show notes for Nature Sorcery and for her social. Ashley, you share about your business.
I have a virtual assistant business. I was fortunate enough to have JJ as my first client, and my second client was actually her partner, Doug. So I always say that I have the power couple, my favorite power couple as clients. And business has pretty much been booming ever since I've started it. I've been very fortunate that JJ has really rooted for me and let other people in need of virtual assistants. She has always recommended me. She has been my savior. And I'm glad to say that I'm actually booked. I've just got one more person I've got to contact, and I should be completely full. Like, I'm just really blessed, loving this new career that I almost feel like I created out of nowhere. And my family is proud of me. My husband, it's really amazing to see my sister, my mother, and be like, wow, like you did this yourself. And it is all because of the Manifestation Bootcamp.
Well, congratulations. But you will be moving into doing books and financial things for people. And at some point, Ashley will expand so she can scale her business. So keep paying attention so that way you can work with her in the future when we scale her later, because we need to be able to do that so that you can make more money and serve more people.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Any last words, Rhonda, before we wrap up? Thank you, ladies. I really appreciate everything that you said today.
It was great to see everybody and touch base. And it's so impressive, the growth since the boot camp. So impressive. And the sense of community, just do it. Just go.
I love it. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much. No one who's listening, I hope you were inspired today. I love the fact that I did not know that Rhonda and Veronica were Rampage Appreciation Partners, because that literally is like, that's so cool because you really get to see, right. Because I've been with Veronica, she's in the mastermind. And so I've been seeing her over the years, and Rhonda, you haven't seen Veronica since then. And it's been almost 2 years. Yeah, a year and a half. So that's so cool to me. Like, I'm just jonesing on that right now. I'm like, that's amazing. And Rhonda, you haven't seen Ashley since then either, right?
No, we've just touched base about trying to coordinate this, and no, haven't seen her. Yeah. And I got to tell you, the sense of community, people, it's the sense of community. Like we picked up where we left off 2 years ago. Right. And it just brought back that awe-inspiring experience, life-changing.
So Shannon, do you have any last words before we close today's episode?
I want to thank you so much for wanting to bring us on here and to speak about our experiences. It's really special to be back together again. And the reason why I'm not attending this year's event is because I have a wedding that same weekend that was moved twice due to different shifts from last year. But I've had it in my calendar. It's going to be an incredible event. No less, no more. It's going to be its own experience. And I encourage everyone to take a chance in their life and to say yes to themselves. My goodness, I've said yes so many times, and that we never lose in the investment in ourselves. But just thank you so much for this time. This conversation alone ignited me and has made my day and has made my weekend and has already stirred so many thoughts, because that reflection is really important. And it really is important to assess ourselves and not forget how far we've come and where we stand in this present moment. It's really an important tool in our life to assess how far we've come and to keep going and to keep going forward, and to not be held back by anything that was, but just to be more excited about what can be and everything that's coming.
Mic drop. Thank you, Shannon. Love you, ladies. I look forward to seeing all of you again. I'm Shannon. If that wedding gets moved, get on that plane. I know that, but otherwise, I love you guys, and I look forward to speaking to any of you out there who are listening, who know that you're called to come. Let's work it out, and give me or Ashley a call so we can get you there. Thanks, guys, for listening today, and I hope you're as inspired as the rest of us are.